All right, we're back. Video number two here. What I want to talk about is how our thoughts and especially our words create our realities. If we use these to our advantage, we can sort of quickly have a beautiful reality instead of something miserable. You know, so many people don't pay any attention to this and they're just miserable and they wonder why when they just spend all day hating on themselves. This is just tearing down almost sort of most people's lives. So, when we go living life sort of playing a victim to what happens in the world, acting as if these things that happen are the reason we aren't where we want to be, or the reason we're annoyed, we're not helping ourselves at all. The outside world is the effect of the reality we've created, not the cause. It doesn't need to cause us to get caught up in any line of thinking. Of course, traumatic events, things like that are different, but our day to day life, problems at work, those small things that can make out to be huge are not the reason that so many people are discontent with themselves and always upset with something, always frustrated, always annoyed, always looking for, another little escape to sort of not live in reality or to attempt to not live in reality. So, we sort of, a lot of people live in this hope for a future. We hope things will change. We hope that we'll get that girl, get that job, whatever. But we can't hope. We need to know that these things are going to happen because they will, if we truly believe they will. If you can imagine a realistic sort of reality where you have all the things you want, where you lack nothing, because we do lack nothing. If you believe you lack nothing, then everything you need is going to come to you, even though you already have everything you need. Abundance will follow because with the belief comes the world catching up. So we must have this sort of delusional, or what seems to be delusional, self-belief to where we know that we are capable of absolutely anything. You might have to take some time learning this or that, whatever. But there's nothing we can't do, that is realistic, of course. Might sound a little delusional here, but that's what I'm going for. I'm 23. I genuinely believe I never played basketball as a kid. I wasn't athletic. I played for like a year, but that's besides the point. I was not an athletic kid. Didn't really play much of any sports or didn't take them seriously. But I genuinely believe that if you gave me 2 years, just be unemployed, whatever, put 12 hours a day into balling, getting my game refined, that I can make it to the NBA at 25. And that's something I truly, truly believe. How crazy is that? I don't know. But it just makes sense to me. And that's this type of self-belief we need to operate in. If you want to get rich, if you want to get the girl of your dreams, guy of your dreams, whatever, but you think, oh, that'll never happen. You think, oh, that's going to be so difficult. You're making it impossible. What we need to do is simply know that a reality where we have that exists. We just need to go grab it. We just gotta put the work in. And it's not that difficult once you'll break down some walls you have in your mind, some limiting self beliefs that are very damaging, that stop you from being who you can be. It's also some of these little mini addictions we have or whatever, where you maybe spend your free time scrolling TikTok, scrolling on dating apps, whatever. Just time wasters, um, walking around fornicating, whatever. All these things that just waste so much time that aren't adding to our lives. Of course, if you spend, 6 hours of your day playing video games, the other three scrolling TikTok, and then on the weekends you're hooking up with people you don't know, going to bars, of course you're not going to believe that you can do amazing things because that version of you sort of can't. And, maybe you gotta take some baby steps at first, sort of try to turn the car around or whatever, and make the choice to desire better and to put in a little bit of work to realize, okay, like how badly do you want it? If you want it badly enough, then it will become a reality over time. You just need some patience. And a lot of it can come down to worthiness as well. If you don't feel worthy of that girl, you're not gonna live as if you're worthy. So you're just gonna keep living like a bum or whatever. And a lot of it is also knowing that we already have it and living as the individual that has it. Living in gratitude for having that. Living knowing that you're already prospering and operating in that frequency, in that energy. And it's inevitable that it will happen if you have the skill, put in the work to get the money, to get the job, whatever it is. If you have the belief, put in the work, over time it'll happen. Also, a lot of people, like me in the past, still here and there, struggle with, our minds are just full of, these thoughts that come to us don't serve us at all. And we don't have to entertain any thoughts that don't serve us. Let's move on to the next one. It's not the first thought that's important or that matters. It's the second thought. It's what you do with the thought. We don't have control over our thoughts. I mean, a little bit, but not really the specific ones that come to us. I mean, the most control we have is by doing our best to not consume negative media, numbing of our brains, to be open to putting away pride, to inviting growth. One other thing I want to talk about, getting a little off track. What are we doing living in fear? Fear does not serve us in any way. It is simply, usually an illusion. If I am fearful, which this would be a thing that I would do out of fear, if I don't say hi to this random dude, walking down the side of the street because I'm scared what he's gonna think or something, like that's insane, first of all. And then the worst thing that happens realistically, he doesn't say hi. Do I care? No. The best thing is that his day is made because nobody talks to the guy or something, and he actually feels loved, and you're able to have an impact on somebody's day. It's a whole messed up thing. It's disgusting. When you can sort of turn off your mind to the ego a little bit, to fear, to all these thoughts that don't serve us, just thinking our way out of things. We can get to a place where we just are observing our thoughts, where we are just observing our feelings and not having so much attachment with them, where we can observe our emotions to not let this stuff control our emotions, but to take a step back and say, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Maybe you don't like it. Okay, that's fine. Just a thought. This is how I'm feeling. Instead of letting that emotion drive us to source in self-pity or get upset, say, okay, take a step back and do what is logical to get to a place where I'm feeling better. So learn from that so I feel like that less. We don't have to let all these things control our choices. And, it's like every challenge is simply an opportunity for an advancement. We don't need to feel like we have to win, do perfect, this or that. The last thing I want to say is this is something that every sort of religion comes to the conclusion of. It's just the truth. It's just, civilizations over thousands of years continually come to the conclusion that thoughts and words create reality, and they have so much more power than anybody knows. Not that anybody knows, but so much more power than most people think. And I just want to say that in the Bible, Genesis starts with God speaking things into existence. This is how things have always been happening. And it seems like most of society has been deceived into thinking it's not a big deal to spew all these negative things about ourselves, about others, constantly, that we're not doing damage, when really we're doing some of the most damage we can to our lives with just our words. That's about it for today. A little unorganized, but it'll be better next time. Thank you.